Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my 6 marriage steps is a path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in marriage counseling. Remember, you can contact me on the Dr. Wyatt Show on Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with your questions. You can reach me at 720-307-7347. If you don't get me, leave a voicemail. I'll call you back, and our phone call will become part of the next podcast episode so other people can also learn from your questions. So a new review came in, so I wanted to start by reading it out loud and just give a shout out. If this is you and you're listening to this, thank you for your review. I really appreciate reviews. It just shows me what's working, how this podcast is impacting you, and that's inspiring to me, and it energizes me to keep making the podcast episodes. So this is what the person said. In June, we might be celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary, but I'm so hurt, empty, and confused. In just 2 days of finding your podcast, I can see where there may be hope. He doesn't see a problem, so won't listen, read, or go to counseling. So if we're going to see 50th or a divorce, it will be up to me, and you are helping me find a path. Thank you. My pleasure, and thank you for leaving that review. Again, it touches my heart. When I get the reviews, it's inspiring, just so encouraging to hear that this podcast is making an impact. So if you haven't already left a review, be sure to do so at the end of this podcast episode. Now, before we jump into the topic today, which is going to be 3 ways to prevent your partner forever wanting to leave you, I'm going to start by talking about the 4 main resources that I provide to supercharge your marriage. Now, I provide 2 free resources and then 4 paid resources. You're listening to one of the free ones right now. This podcast is one of my free resources. It's free content. I give it away. I don't earn any money off this podcast. It's my way to serve. This podcast is my way to serve you. So I'm thankful you're here. I'm thankful you're listening to it. You're accessing one of my highest quality free resources. The other free resource I provide is my blog. If you haven't checked out my blog, be sure to check out my blog. It has over 40 articles on all sorts of marriage topics, and it's free. So you can go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, click on the blog, and just peruse through all those articles and check out which one you think would be most helpful to you in your marriage. I also have 4 paid resources, and the acronym to remember them is BARC, B-A-R-C, BARC. And that stands for Book, App, Retreat, and Coaching. So the book is my book that I wrote a few years ago on the top 6 steps to marital satisfaction. It's the Total Marriage Refresh book. It's full of tools, full of case studies, full of my life, and so that you can look through that book again and again to learn all the tools and strategies that I talk about. It's all into that book. So Total Marriage Refresh, that's the name of the book. You can get it on Amazon. That's the book. The A is for app. The app I've created is called Keep the Glow. And it's going to be going live this week in both the Android, Google Play Store, and the App Store. Super excited about the app. I actually released it about 9 months ago, but it had a lot of bugs in it, so we had to scratch it and start from the ground up. So this new and improved version, I'm feeling very hopeful about. The app is the Love Buckets model. That's what the app is. So it will show you how to stay in love. It will show you how to develop a great relationship. It will reduce conflicts in your relationship. And it's so convenient because it's right on your phone. So it's called Keep the Glow. So by the end of this week, start looking for it in the App Store. The R in BARC is retreats. So the Total Marriage Refresh, it's a book, and it's also a live retreat. And this coming spring in April and May, we're going to be doing the retreat in 21 cities across the U.S. I do the retreats in Colorado, and then I've trained coaches to do the retreats for me in all the different cities. So if that's interesting for you, if you want a day, a concentrated time for just you and your partner to really dig in and experience healing with your resentments and also learn how to foster closeness, check out the retreat. And that's also on my website. Go to drwyattfisher.com, click on retreats. The last in the BARC acronym is C for coaching. So I provide marriage counseling in Boulder, Colorado, and my practice gets filled up pretty quick. I only see around 10 couples a week. And because of that, I've trained coaches. It's the same coaches who facilitate the conference. I've also trained them on how to do coaching, relationship coaching. So they know all my best practices. They know all my secrets. They know all the tools. And so if you need more individualized support, beyond the other resources, check out the coaching option on my website as well, relationship coaching. So those are 2 free resources and 4 paid resources. Again, the 2 free ones are this, the podcast, and my blog. Make sure you really use those. And then there's 4 paid ones to supercharge your relationship, and the acronym is BARC: the book, the app, the retreat, and coaching. Okay, today we're going to talk about 3 ways to prevent your partner from ever leaving you. You don't want your partner to leave you. It's a horrible experience. I've worked with so many couples where one partner left or they want to leave. And when you're on the receiving end of that, it feels so rejecting and so hurtful. You don't want to go through that. No one ever wants their partner to leave them. So we're going to talk about 3 ways to prevent that from happening. First way is find out what your partner's top needs are. Do you know what your partner's top needs are? They have needs. Everyone has needs. And most likely at the core, they want to feel wanted. They want to feel loved. They want to feel special. They want to feel close. How much do they feel that in your relationship? Do you know what their needs are? Common needs can include emotional closeness, or affection, or sexual contact, or quality time. Everyone's different, so don't assume you know what your partner's needs are. You have to find out, and you're not going to find out by guessing or making assumptions. You have to actually ask them, what are your top marriage needs? That's what you have to ask, because the reason people leave is because their needs aren't met. And they get fed up with it. They feel neglected. They feel hopeless. They feel desperate because they have been in a relationship with you with their needs not being met again and again and again. And they can't take it. They want out. They reach a breaking point. So that is the number one leading cause with why people leave their marriage. It's because they're tired of their needs not being met. Nobody is superhuman. Nobody can go on indefinitely without their needs being met. So if you don't want your partner to leave you one day, find out what their needs are. That's step number 1. Number 2, start meeting those needs. Once you find out what the needs are, stop making excuses. Stop getting distracted. Stop getting defensive and start meeting their needs. You want to invest in this, really dig into this. You hear that they need affection, for example. Go for it. Find out how they want affection. Find out how often they want affection. Start giving them that affection. You find out they want emotional closeness. Dig into that. What does that look like for them? How do they want emotional closeness? What qualifies as emotional closeness? And then do it. Provide it. You find out they want sexual contact because that makes them feel loved. Explore that. What kind of sexual contact? How often do they want sexual contact? What would make them feel satisfied in that area? And then do it. You find out they want quality time. Figure that out. What kind of quality time? How much a week is enough quality time together? What's going to make them feel first in your life instead of second or third or fourth? And then do it. You can't just figure out and learn what your partner's top needs are and then do nothing about it. You have to not only find out what they are, but then you have to do it. You have to provide it. You have to lean in and dig in so that you're providing those needs. When people are happy and their needs are met, they never think about leaving their marriage. People only think about leaving their marriage when their needs aren't met, when they're unhappy. And they start feeling like, I don't want to live like this forever. I don't want to tolerate this mistreatment forever. I don't want to feel neglected forever. They reach a breaking point where they say enough is enough. And so if you don't want your partner to get to that point, or maybe they are at that point and this is your wake-up call, you have to find out what their top needs are. And then number 2, you have to start providing those needs. Number 3, regularly ask for feedback on how well you're meeting those needs. Don't assume you're meeting them well. Don't assume you're providing all your partner desires for affection, or for emotional closeness, or for quality time, or for sexual contact. Don't assume you're doing an amazing job, because they may think you're doing a terrible job. You have to cut out assumptions, and instead you have to become courageous and ask them on a regular basis, how well am I meeting those top needs you talked about? How well am I meeting that need for affection? How well am I meeting that need for sexual closeness? How well am I meeting that need for quality time? You have to ask. And then don't get defensive with what they tell you. Don't get defeated, but be a student. Be teachable. Listen to what they say, and then integrate their feedback. That is going to transform your relationship. That is going to make your partner never want to leave. Because why would they? Because then they're going to feel like, man, this relationship is amazing. I have an incredible partner. They care about my needs. They're asking about my needs. They're meeting my needs. And they're even open to feedback on how to get better at meeting my needs. I am so happy. I'm so satisfied. Why would I ever want to leave? And you know what else? That's going to inspire them to do the same for you. Because when we feel loved, we feel satisfied, it just naturally inspires us to want to do the same in return. So this is not a one-way street. This is a two-way street. This is bi-directional. But take that first step. And those are 3 steps you can take if you want to make sure your partner never leaves you. Number 1, find out what their top needs are. Number 2, start meeting those needs. And number 3, regularly ask for feedback. And remember, if you want to supercharge your relationship, this week is the week to check out my 4 resources for you. It's the book, the app, the retreat, and coaching. BARC is the way to remember it. BARC. Go to my website to check them out, drwyattfisher.com. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to click the 5 stars and leave a review. And the best way you can express your appreciation for this podcast is to tell one person about it. It could be a family member, it could be a colleague, a neighbor, anyone that you think might benefit from it in the same way that you have. Remember, your marriage is alive. So if you care for it and nurture it, it will grow. But if you deprive it and neglect it, it will wilt and die. The choice is up to you. Take care.